where I could probably eat food from 20 or so different cultures within about 5 blocks of my house. So I'm very lucky to be joining you here today. And obviously, I guess as many of you are double blue, or all of you here should be at least at U of T or attended U of T at some point, you're probably very familiar with the Kensington Market area and Chinatown and all of the lovely things around campus. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the next slide here. And this is me when I actually, someone did my hair for me, not me. So thank you again for joining us today. I've been with the faculty about 2.5 years. During that time, we've continued to update and reform our double blue process, which again, we fully understand the excellence of the undergraduate degree programs, and if you've completed a master's degree program here at the University of Toronto. And so we wanted to create a special opportunity for those of you who have done 1 degree with us to have the opportunity to pursue a 2nd degree with us. So we will talk briefly about the requirements as part of the double blue, the eligibility components, and then we will discuss if some of the pieces don't quite match where you're at with things, if there's other opportunities, and go from there. As always, you're welcome to add any questions in our chat usually on the right-hand side of your screen, depending on your platform, and feel free to do that throughout the discussion today. So as you're seeing on the screen, absolutely, U of T student or alumni is one of the biggest components because it's double blue, not single blue. And so someone like myself, I'm not actually eligible. Is everyone able to hear me? If anyone can anyone confirm that they can hear me? Oh, good. Okay. Someone messaged that they didn't have. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Perfect. So eligibility, of course, is having completed at least 1 degree program at University of Toronto. That can be undergraduate, that can be graduate, it could be a PhD. And so we're looking for a minimum of 3.75 GPA from that degree or above. If you're still in that degree and completing that degree, we would be looking at, at the time of application, because this is a process where we make the decision in the next few weeks after that deadline. And so if you're still within the degree, we would be calculating either your cumulative degree GPA or be looking at the highest GPA earned in those upper level courses. So we're looking for whatever's higher. The advantage, of course, is that we would give you a 2-week application turnaround time. So those are the priority applications that come in. We review those right away. And then what we would be doing is we would be requesting an interview from you. And so I'm kind of jumping into the required piece, but the advantage here is that you will be considered for all other admission awards. Specifically, if you are given a double blue admission, you would also receive a $500 double blue application award on top of any other consideration for awards that you might receive. And then, as I've mentioned, we would not actually require that you complete the written statement, but instead you do complete your CV and resume and your reference letters. But instead of that, that statement, we would do a one-on-one or two-on-one interview with you. Myself and one of my colleagues would meet with you 15, 20 minutes, have a conversation, and then you would know within a 2-week period whether or not your application for double blue was granted, and or if you're not eligible for double blue, let's say you're under that 3.75, you would then be considered with the colleagues that are not double blue, and admission decisions would be made on a rolling basis. So clarification again, January 31 is that deadline date. That does include the cover letter. I'm sorry, the CV is not a cover letter, your resume and your reference letters. And then the request of that double blue application, so indicating, of course, that you'd like to be considered as part of double blue, and the completion of that online application. From there, we would be scheduling an interview with you. We had a student already ask if they were not comfortable doing an interview. If you're, let's say, really shy and afraid of talking to someone as nice as me, I get it. The opportunity is still available then to submit your statement and answer those questions as any other candidate would. But our preference, of course, is that to go through the double blue application process. We would prefer going through the interview process and us providing an answer for you within that 2-week period. Again, going back to the advantage, it's the quicker timeline, it's the automatic consideration for that $500 Double Blue award, and then because you've met that January 31st deadline, of course, it's consideration for any other admission awards and grants that are given by the faculty. So that being said, it's fairly straightforward. There's not a lot of hoops or jumps or those kinds of things. So let us know if you have any other questions about it. Let's see, would we be disqualified for other funding if we have not submitted our letter of intent by January 31st and are not accepted during the Double Blue process and are put into general consideration? Okay, I think you just answered it. Okay, yeah, so we wouldn't disqualify you from being considered for admission. Let's say you did go to U of T, but you just don't have time based on the beginning of the term to submit everything for that 31st deadline. It does mean that you wouldn't be considered as Double Blue, but absolutely we would continue to assess and review those application forms. We do have an exceptionally strong candidate pool, and so the earlier the better. We are expecting that with applications being reviewed on a rolling basis, there may be a time at which we will have met our admission capacity, and so earlier is going to definitely be better this academic year. And so take that into consideration when planning your scheduling and planning time to put aside to ask references for support and to consider if you are going to say, like, write that statement instead of go through the Double Blue application process. Any questions that you have along the way, of course, Andrea is available to respond to those, as would any of our other admission staff. Would the interview discussion cover the same topics as the written personal statement? Would it be different? We generally try to keep it quite consistent with what those the interview discussion would be. So in preparation, if you are thinking, oh man, what are we going to talk about in the interview, you would want to review the statements, the questions that are in the statement. And it's very consistent generally with, why is this program what you want to be doing? How do you see this fitting into your personal professional goals? Are there areas of strength or weakness you'd like to develop upon, assuming you're admitted to graduate school? Is there a time in your life that's been really influential in the way in which you interact with your colleagues or peers? Those kinds of things. Would submitting my letter of intent before January 31st disqualify me for Double Blue consideration? Would submitting my letter of intent before? No, absolutely before is great. If you submit your personal statement and you indicate you want to be Double Blue, then probably you'll receive an email asking, would you like us to review the statement or would you like to do the interview? And I do know someone already has actually said that they would prefer the interview, or sorry, prefer the statement submission over the interview. For me, I talk a lot, so I probably prefer the interview over the statement. I also write a lot. But no, we would not have that disqualify you. Really, we want to make this as seamless a possibility and an opportunity for students who are currently enrolled at University of Toronto to continue pursuing education here if they so choose that as their next step. On the online application form, it asks for the contact of our referees. Does that mean the faculty will contact my referees for reference letters? So it's actually an operational or an automatic system. That was the word I'm going for. And so once you submit the referee's contact information, the system automatically then sends out contact asking for their submissions. And so you can let them know you will be asking them to be a reference, of course, because no one wants that sprung on them. But you do not need to then follow up individually. The one thing you might want to do is just follow up with them and confirm that they had received it to ensure that you maybe didn't, mistype their email address or something. And yes, they don't receive the referee form until you pay your application fee. So absolutely.
There.
That's okay. Yeah, that's why I'm talking and not typing. We know I will put random letters and words all the time. So yeah, these are great questions. Other questions, feel free to keep typing. Does the entire application have to be completed before the referees can get contacted by the system? Nope, just that payment piece. Can I pay earlier before I submit? Yes. So yes, the payment piece is helpful because it does help generate the automated components of the system. And so that component is helpful in triggering getting those referee letters out. Natalia has a great question. So she's currently retired. Great, good for you wanting to come back to school. Who would you consider as an appropriate referee? So anybody that you maybe have worked with in the past, if you volunteered with any sort of organizations, those are going to be the people that we would want to hear from. We are definitely not capable of using, say, your kid, if you had a kid, or your partner, or your parent. Really what we would be looking at is someone who can attest to the skills that may most appropriately reflect your ability to pursue graduate level work, communicate at a graduate level, have upper level decision making and or group dynamic capability. So again, in a volunteer capacity, maybe you've organized events or activities for your community. Someone that you've worked with in that capacity can probably speak very clearly to your ability to work in a group setting and make decisions. So those are the kinds of, much respect, yeah, absolutely. Those are the kinds of things, Natalia, that I think would most likely provide good insight into the admission committee. Hopefully, yeah, there's someone potentially as well that you've worked with even within the last 5 to 10 years that maybe you've stayed in contact with, who could provide some sort of insight into the kind of engagement you provided while you were in the workplace. With the admissions, they'll review my statement if I agree to an interview. Generally, we would at least have someone see it, because of course it is part of that package. And usually, as we continue to tell everyone, it is a holistic perspective. But in the case of the double blue, it would be made based, if you go with the interview, it would be made based on that interview. And if you, let's say, are horribly dissatisfied with the outcome of your interview and very upset, I have to say the ones we've done previously have been phenomenal. These are not formal interviews. These are more conversational in nature. No one is there to weed you out with the interview. We're simply there to discuss your goals, your decision for applying to the program. Absolutely, we're not there to say, ooh, I didn't like that blazer. That just doesn't look very professional. We're really looking for ways that you've been thoughtful about your application to our program. And many of the questions don't have any right or wrong answer. It's simply, why did you want to apply here? And if you tell us because I really want to be an architect, we're going to say, maybe you haven't looked at our programs. But in all honesty, again, all of the interviews we've done historically have been phenomenal. And again, they're very conversational in nature. So I want people to know, if you're not outspoken, if you're not really strong with your communication skills, or maybe just a little bit quieter individual and, struggle to always find the right word, we're not there to judge those things. We're there to specifically have conversations with you about the nature of your decision and about why this program, why not music, or why not history, or whoever else you've considered, why U of T, why the Faculty of Information, and why specifically Museum Studies or one of our MI concentrations over other possible opportunities for you. Other questions or other comments?
I'll just say, sorry, that the MI admissions and career sessions is actually going to start now. So if you wanted to head over to that session now, please feel free to do that. And if you do have more questions about double blue, you can ask them there as well. Steph will be at that session. So feel free to come and join in on that session now. We're just going to get started.
I better get out of here because I think I usually say something there. Helen, yes, we can talk about accommodations for sure. Thanks, everyone.